I've been at Taunton for 3.5 years now, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. It's a beautiful piece of country, and yeah, there's always something new out there every day to investigate. Bridal narwhals were thought to be extinct in 1930. By 1970 they were rediscovered. This was actually a station, a cattle station back then, and with parks have taken over and is now a scientific national park in protecting narwhals. They're the last wild population. There was 1,200 in the last survey in the core area, and there's another few smaller populations across the park which could mount up to about 1,500 or so. Main threats to narwhals are habitat loss through brigalow removal and cats and dogs and foxes if they were to reappear in this area. The main conservation activities that we do here at Taunton for the narwhals is drought feeding and buffle control to help protect the brigalow community where they live, and trapping for the cats and dogs, particularly in the core area where the narwhals are, and baiting as well in the broad area for the cats and dogs.
Feral cats are very difficult to manage. Conventional tools such as trapping, shooting is quite intensive, quite difficult to do, and baiting offers a chance of managing cats efficiently and effectively at a big scale, landscape scale. It's really important to test different techniques for managing predators like feral cats. Our research was about testing baits in Queensland, so there's one bait registered currently, a fresh meat bait, but also there's one bait that hasn't been tested in Queensland until our trial, that is the Eradicat bait, a sausage bait. We completed 2 trials at Taunton National Park on baiting to see what effect we could have on the cat population. We also undertook a number of small-scale trials throughout Queensland to see how the baits could be used in those environments as well. The Eradicat trial was far more successful at reducing cat abundance, so we reduced cats on the landscape by about 40%. Eradicat's a more palatable bait. We can put it out at a higher density across the landscape. Cats can find them while they're still palatable, and it makes for a much more effective control technique than fresh meat baits. The ability to use helicopters or aircraft to go and distribute Eradicat makes it a great technique for broad-scale control of feral cats. Using fresh meat baits can be effective, but the way that we're allowed to use fresh meat baits, that is laying them alongside tracks, isn't necessarily that effective for cats. There's only a small number of baits in the environment. Baits dry out quite quickly. Ants can colonise the baits and make them unpalatable. So in general, it's not the best technique for targeting cats. So this research has highlighted you really need to use a highly palatable bait. You need to target all areas of the landscape, since cats are landscape wide, and you need to use a high bait density to allow cats to find it quickly while it's still palatable. We looked quite carefully to see if any other animals were impacted by the baits. We monitored baits with remote cameras, and we conducted wildlife surveys. We did see that brush-tailed possums and occasionally crows showed some interest in baits, but we couldn't detect any population change as a result of the baiting, so it is a safe technique.
The first thing I do with the Eradicat baits is get them defrosted and sweated for a day in the bags that they come in, and then I roll them in an ant rid sort of solution, and then often we just use a chopper to aerial drop them, and we've got set routes up and down the key creek lines where we see activity from previous experience with the cats to help target those areas where they're typically spending time. So in the past, we've monitored narwhals by doing capture mark recaptures, or CMRs. These days there's too many to actually get a proper estimate for our cage numbers. So we've gone to spotlight surveys. Predator control with baiting and trapping and other mechanisms is increasing the numbers to the point that spotlighting surveys are a more appropriate way of finding out what their numbers are. I'll never get over going for a drive and seeing those endangered species. You sometimes go pinch yourself and go, well, you know, this is me doing this, and here they are, little fellas. They're always a joy to see.
The outcomes of this work demonstrate a collaborative approach is really the best approach. Working with land managers like Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service, with researchers such as Queensland Government, Department of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Threatened Species Hub. Such a collaboration just shows the value in getting real outcomes for real problems.